You're tuned in to the It's Real podcast with your hosts, Kayla Calendar and Andrew Yagi. Each week, we'll talk about what happens behind the scenes working full-time in real estate and share with you real-life stories, our successes and failures as we work to help consumers and industry professionals reach their real estate and real-life goals. Here we go.
Welcome to episode 63 of the It's Real podcast. I'm Kayla Calendar and I'm a mortgage lender.
And I'm Andrew Yagi. I'm a real estate agent.
Hi, Andrew Yagi. How are you doing?
Kayla, I am doing swell. Just sitting here in my office and watching the snow fly.
It's like a snow globe, right?
It is.
I love it.
We sit in our living room at home. It kind of, the people that had the house before us, it started as kind of a 3-season porch that just was added onto the back of the house, and they made it kind of year round. And so it is kind of fun on days like today. You do feel like you're in a snow globe with windows on all sides.
I love it. I just had coffee at a place that was windows all around, and it was definitely snowing on my vehicle. And I don't know how many inches we're getting today, 3 to 7, but it's a winter wonderland for sure.
Indeed. But, so it's been, I don't even know how many weeks, probably at least 3 weeks since we have visited and talked real estate mortgage. How's everything going in Kayla's life?
Good. It's been busy. I can't believe it's been as long as it's been, but you know what? We still will always meet. We will make time. Life happens, but it's good. I did recently, you probably saw, make a switch to a new company. So I'm hanging my license at a different company in Fargo with Guild Mortgage. So I recently moved over there and still helping clients like I was before, same capacity. And I'm super excited about the opportunity. So you can find me at Guild Mortgage now.
That's really awesome. Congratulations. Yeah. So I know obviously we've talked about it in the past. Like there are a lot of people who have, they're always after Kayla. And, they know you're a high producer, that you do a great job. And so obviously a lot of options out there. And I think this is a decision you've discerned for a while, but how did you decide on Guild?
It's really, every company has pros and cons, right? And what works for you. And you might want to do 100 million. You might want to do 10 million. You might have clients in every state. Like there's so many factors that go in, but I'd actually a couple of years ago met, her name is Shayla. I met her at a conference and I saw her on stage and I was just in awe of her passion and how she aligned with the same mindset that I did. And through that process, I'd followed her. I'd met other people at Guild. I had met Michelle Castle, Rob Denning. You name it. I met their CEO in April randomly at a conference. And just the way that they approach the process, the experience, the tools and tech that they have for their loan officers to better serve their clients and to ensure that they're, again, given the best experience. Their referral partners are kept up to speed, are given value. It just seemed like a good fit for the type of experience that I wanted to give my clients. So that was one of the biggest reasons that I joined Guild.
No, that's really cool. I know as we've kind of talked behind the scenes and like I said, I know you've had options. And so it's always interesting, to hear why. And because it can be no doubt paralyzing to make a decision like that. And Guild sounds like they have a lot of great tools, maybe not the flashiest name. When I think of, kind of like the Screenwriters Guild or something, or I think of, kind of an old school name or organization, but sounds like it's a good fit for you.
Yeah, it is. And there's great people. And I was joking, I had an underwriter emailing me at like 8:00 last night. And I'm like, what is this? But they're so excited to help you and are all for the same purpose. And having that culture is such a big deal. And it's important and it trickles down to everybody. So I'm 3 weeks in barely. So still learning the tools and the systems, but it's been a good transition.
Awesome. Good for you, Kayla. Well, we're going to be excited. I know it's still probably overwhelming. Just obviously, it's like putting a cook in a different kitchen. You know the trade and the business and have the relationships, but it's just getting acclimated and it'll take a little while. But no doubt you and the team that you have and the support it sounds like you have will allow you to better serve people, and it's going to be a good move.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. I'll keep you posted for sure. But what's going on in your world? Any flying? What are the kids up to? I need some details on Andy's life. It's been a
Yeah,
while.
no, great question. So yeah, lots going on. Actually, I've been doing a fair amount of flying. Real estate is historically very slow this time of year, and I think we'll jump in and we'll talk about it. We just actually had our busiest week last week since about August because
Wow.
we've talked in past episodes how this is more or less the slowest market since 1995. But we've seen some encouraging pieces, and obviously we've seen some challenges too, which we'll talk about. But boy, just kind of going all in on the holiday season.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of end of November, traveled to Florida. My parents had their 40th wedding anniversary.
Wow.
We all went down and traveled there, and that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Of course, we know Santa's coming to town soon. Santa actually came to town. I guess, speaking of flying, I got to see Santa and a few of his elves into kind of our community celebration. So
I love that so much.
always kind of fun, and the kids love it as well. And we actually have been working very feverishly in our office. We're making kind of some big changes to our team, which I'm not going to talk about quite yet, but we have some big things coming in 2025 as well. Not only for the real estate clients that we're serving directly in what I would call at-need real estate for those who are actively buying and selling, but we have some more new construction projects. Kind of trying to grow our housing base in the community I'm in addition to rehabbing some of the more classic homes as well. So I think it's going to be a really, really exciting year. But yeah, even in the quote unquote slow time of year, we're as busy as ever with all of the things that we have going on.
That's awesome. And I think that's a testament too that a lot of people almost give up this time of year. We're going to wait till next year. We're going to, table this, but there's a lot of opportunity right now. I remember even, this summer, people would be writing a contract and I'd be like, well, they might get it, but this time of year when it's slower and there's not a lot of competition, if someone's writing an offer, I'm like, okay, they're probably going to get it because there's not a lot of people that are buying. And I get it when you're selling your house too. You don't want to list your home and have it be perfect when you're trying to enjoy Christmas. And I understand that. That's pretty normal, but it's a really good opportunity for buyers in terms of competition.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And I think I was just looking right before this, Kayla, kind of pulling up some market stats as well. Yeah, we've seen some people get some pretty incredible details too, but just kind of looking at the Fargo market, the number of listings is down slightly, which, again, is pretty normal for this time of year. But again, we've seen more homes on the market, lately than we have, a year ago. List prices, I mean, they've kind of stayed about the same. The absorption rate, which is the number of month supply homes for sale, has gone down a little bit. Sold to list ratio. This again confirms that people are getting slightly better deals, because even back to August in the Fargo market, homes were selling at 99% of list price. So if a house was listed for 100,000, it would sell for 99. Now that's down to 97.9%. Or whatever, and homes kind of staying on the market a little bit longer too. So that confirms that, kind of the same in our marketplace. Again, we've seen more listings coming on the market, maybe more moderately priced homes out there, and again, people getting better deals. About 96% sold to list ratio. Our absorption rate climbed, so that means there are more home options available, as is the days on market. So. Kind of interesting.
I love
that.
I like seeing that. And does anything surprise you, or is that pretty much what you expected when you see those stats?
I don't know that there's anything surprising. I think, it just kind of confirms, kind of what we know between seasonality and just kind of the slow market based on rates and everything else that's going on. So no, I think it just is a great way to confirm and to kind of show clients proof as well, especially when we're sitting down and we're talking about pricing, because there are a lot of people right now, Kayla, that are struggling to sell their house, or it's sitting out there and they don't get it. I actually found a Keeping Current Matters, kind of the top 3 items talking about if you are struggling to sell your house, Kayla, you should read this. And it basically said, the three biggest contributors are, number one, homes are priced too high. And I'm still seeing that a lot. I don't know about you. Obviously, when we look at those stats and we're seeing, the sale, the sold to list ratio, that people are getting better deals, it's still buyers and sellers, I think, are on two separate pages.
Mhm.
I think a lot of people are coming around to it a little bit, but it's taking people a while to kind of figure that out. So homes, we're still seeing a lot of homes that are priced too high. Homes that aren't freshened up, Kayla. There's a house kind of in our market where they want to get a very premium price, and it's got a great square footage. It's a newer build for our area, nice
Mhm.
for bedrooms and bathrooms. But when you go in the house, there are five types of flooring. The kitchen, is very cheaply put together as well. And those are two huge pieces that, I see in the market, that
Mhm.
are preventing that home from selling at all, let alone at a really rock solid price. So that particular house, I think, has two strikes working against it being priced too high and not being freshened up.
Right.
And the third piece, limited access. So I still, I've got a number of sellers here, and people will come and say, "Hey, I really want to look at this house," and they'll say, "Oh, that just doesn't work. Can they look next week or something like that?" And I think the challenging piece is, we live in the Amazon.com society where people want what they want when they want it, and
Yep.
people lose interest very quickly, and will just check something off of their list if a seller's not being accommodating.
I think more than ever, we're witnessing that people want mortgage approvals quickly. They want to see a house quickly. So I think if you're a seller, now correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not a real estate agent, but Andy, are you finding that those are actual deal breakers? It's like, hey, we're just going to move on. Are you finding that to be when you're representing a buyer, that's how they feel, or a seller? What are you seeing in those exact situations?
I think people are all over the board. I think people are coming around to the fact, and we'll talk rates in just a minute, but people are
Mhm.
coming around, and kind of realizing that, hey, we are where we are, and if we're going to jump in, we're going to have to, just deal with
Mhm.
rates where they're at. But I would say more than anything, I mean, people may use that point number three as kind of an excuse, but I would say in general, people are confused and still kind of don't know what they want. And so therefore, I think in a sense, it's good to be accommodating, but I think it's also an easy excuse for people too.
For sure. I think too, I'm surprised. Well, at this point, maybe I'm not surprised, but a lot of individuals lately, when I say, what's your comfort level in a monthly payment for a home? I have a lot of people waffle. They're like, I'm not really sure. And I'm a little surprised by that because, if you're renting, you're paying 2,000 a month. Is that comfortable? And I always tell people, well, what are you paying now? And is that comfortable? But I feel like a lot of people even kind of go back and forth on that. Like, what do we want to afford? And ultimately, when they see the home and they see the price, I think those two together are what really influence it when you see both ends. But I'm surprised too how many, I guess, people just they don't know, or they're just not as motivated, and they're just like, we're just casually thinking about it. But I'm seeing it more than ever of people being a little bit more on the fence.
I think that, not just with, real estate, but even, people with their businesses. I think a lot of people, they don't want to take the time to sit down and really understand, even their personal finances. I mean,
Yeah.
again, most people would have no idea how to keep a check register or balance a checkbook, the old school way where you flip the statement over and you work it out on the back. Let alone using a computer tool like Quicken or QuickBooks or whatever. And, so many people are, um, they're watching their online bank account, and that's how they keep track of
Yeah.
where they're at. They're living paycheck to paycheck, or the other day I saw living, direct deposit to direct deposit.
Yeah.
Uh, so I think that the same is true with housing. Like, people really have no idea. They're like, hey, that
Yeah.
number kind of seems comfortable. I mean, we kind of know where we're at every month when our rent payment comes out. And I see the same thing with a lot of small business owners and entrepreneurs, that they don't sit down and really take the time to understand where they're at and what can they afford. That's really one thing that even we've been diving in. And, as we've continued to grow, we've continued to grow more of a profitable business. But even so, there's still a lot of room for growth and improvement, and really, tightening things up. So not only in business, but for the consumer too.
Well, and I think too, it's you don't know where you're going if you're not sure where you're coming from. You know what I mean? Like, if if you want to grow or you want to save or, whatever your plans are, if you don't have any goals, why would you save $100 a month? Why would you invest here? Like, I see it constantly. And I think we just get I want to say we get so distracted by so many other things, whether it's social media or it's the news or
Squirrel.
the drones in New Jersey. I think there's just so much distraction these days. And I went to Denver and saw my sister this weekend with my other sister. And we were talking about how when you're in high school, you're not taught any of these things. And even into college, you're really not. And so I feel an obligation and I need to educate my people because I know that there's a lot of things that I didn't learn in school and I need an expert, right? And so it's our duty, right, Andy, to when we have clients and they're not sure of their payment, they're not sure if they should, purchase that home and the inspection came in, like it's our duty as experts in this field to educate and empower because otherwise you're just learning it from social media. You're just learning it from reels or you're hearing it from your dad who bought 10 years ago. So that's one of the things that I'm just really passionate about. And I know you are too, is making sure that that people get educated and they get the right information.
Amen. I would say though, Kayla, it's not all bad learning from reels and everything, especially with what I was seeing out on the internet the other day. Congratulations, by the way, for being mentioned on Inman. For those of you who don't know what Inman is a huge real estate news source for those that are in real estate, mortgage, and the like. A lot of great information. So huge accomplishment for you to get a shout out on Inman.
Thank you. I was on a podcast with my buddy Rick, and he loves dogs. And so that's the picture that they use. So we had our dogs on to start. But, there is a lot of power that comes when you can be on social media and you can reach an audience. Being present, people getting to know you, when my name is given to somebody that wants to buy and somebody else's name that's a lender is given. When they go and look us up or they try to figure out who is this person, when they can see that the Inman article or Reels or this podcast, like people get to know me, just like they get to know you, Andy. And so there is a lot of power in social media when it's used the right way in terms of getting information out there quickly to our consumers.
Yeah. Well, and I would say even something as simple as, us just, kind of having, conversing and talking real estate right here. I hear from a number of people just how, hey, we look forward to hearing you guys visit and kind of share your experiences and talk about what's going on in the market. So
yeah, well, it's local, right? It's not just national. There's so much national news. It just kind of gets watered down. So with us, you get to hear the local dish.
Mm-hmm. Well, Kayla, so I want to I want to shift gears here a little bit, and I want to talk rates. And so, actually, last night I was flying, doing a trip, and kind of all over the Midwest. Got back at about 12:30 in the morning. But the pilot I was flying with, very very savvy financially, does a ton of investing, and said, hey, the Fed cut rates today. That's going to be really really great, for your business and for real estate going forward. Except then. I go online, Kayla, and I see this article from our friends at Mortgage News Daily that mortgage rates jump abruptly higher after the Fed's rate cut.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. You want to know what, Andy? So many people, I've had some people that are in contract and I say, hey, here are rates today. Would you like to lock? We're constantly sharing that information, especially if you're looking to close at the end of the month. If rates go up and you're not locked, that's an issue. I've got some clients that are in contract and they don't close till end of January, February, and they're like, you know what, we want to wait. That I understand. But when we have a situation where we hear that the Fed is meeting, a lot of people's minds go to, well, if they cut rates, that means mortgage rates. And that, again, it's the media, it's that misconception. So again, the Fed cutting rates is more of like your HELOCs and your credit cards, that type of debt. But it doesn't mean mortgage rates. So we saw roughly, I think the national average was about a quarter higher than the day started. So proof that just because the Fed cuts rates, that does not mean mortgage rates. So a lot of people locked before that. They saw that movement and took care of it, got their loan under contract and locked. But Yeah, we're a little bit higher today. Let me see where we're at. We're at 7.13 is the national average, up 0.21%. So yeah, a bit of a jump. Now, the Fed, who knows what's going to happen, but I think this is just an indication, Andy, that we cannot hang our hats on the fact that when the Fed cuts rates, that means mortgage rates. If you are in the market now, whether you're a lender, a realtor, a buyer, a seller, we cannot say, oh, this day they cut it and it's going to impact our rates, because look what happened. We're up a quarter. So essentially mortgage rates, they care more about the Fed's rate cut outlook than they do an individual cut. And so we just need to make sure that we're communicating with our clients. If you're a buyer, you need to be talking to your lender. They should be updating you. Here's the economic projections. Here's what we're seeing. Because this is just an example of, just because the Fed cuts does not mean it's going to impact mortgage rates. So a little bit of increase this week, Andy.
Right on. Yeah, it is. And I feel like it's like we're beating a horse talking about it, that, hey, folks, a friendly PSA that when the Fed cuts rates, your rates are probably going to go up. But people still, even though I feel like we talk about it time and time again, people still have a difficult time wrapping their head around it. I just went and took on another rental property and did a cash out refinance on it. And I guess I should have waited a couple more days, because I probably could have saved about 0.25%, Kayla.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's just it too, is, when we look, you and I were talking offline, but we were talking about what rates were projected to be at this time a year ago and what they were projected to be at the year before that. And I think about the people that decided to say, I'm going to wait for rates to drop. And by doing so, they have been renting longer. So if they're paying $2,000 in rent, let's just say that they've been doing that for 2 years. That's rent that they're throwing away. Let's just say $24,000 a year. Now, if you were buying, they're giving up that appreciation and that equity gain. And so I think about that when I see people wait, because had they waited or had they bought then, they'd be pretty much in the same position rate wise. And so you and I had pulled up the MBA forecast of 2023. And if we look in the middle, if we look to 2024, we see Q4 is at 6.1. But then as we look in 2025, we're seeing projections of, oh my gosh, we're looking into the fives. So there was like, oh my gosh, some excitement. I'm going to wait till the new year. Now, again, that was 2023. You can see at the top left there. But then as we look into 2024, and this was pretty much the same case, month over month, but we're seeing that here. Now we see, okay, now we're at 6.4 in Q4. And now we don't even see fives in, like, as we approach that. Mm-hmm. So into 2025, not 1.5. So again, not to say that we won't, but when you say, well, I'm going to wait, well, look what's happened. We saw 5.5, and now we're seeing 6.6. So it's just an indication that you cannot play the rate game. And we've had clients, I remember this September, we had clients where we were in contract and rates dipped significantly before the Fed meeting. And we got clients into some great deals. They weren't playing the game, but that's just what happened. And then there were some clients that had purchased before that, and they could then refinance then. So my communication and my message to anyone listening is, if home ownership makes sense for you, if home ownership is on your dream board and it's something that makes sense for you financially, mentally, emotionally, all the things, you can't play the rate game. I mean, we just have two examples here, the MBA forecast and then the fact that rates went up after a Fed cut. So that's kind of my communication to just anyone that's in the market.
Mm-hmm. No, right on. I think that's really wise. And, again, and my wife and I, we kick it around a little bit because we know we're kind of not in our forever home. And so we're exploring some options and, building and some other things. And, obviously the rate is a big part of it because it definitely cuts into affordability. But I also look at, the fact that, hey, why do we have our home? Because, well, we need somewhere to live, but then also making memories and everything else. And I know that we can refinance it. On the investment side, of course, we look more at dollar cost averaging. So knowing that, hey, the majority of my portfolio might be 4.5%, and I'm adding something at 7.25%. Well, again, we're just averaging it, just very, very similar to, like the examples you've shared in the past of people refinancing and taking cash to pay down debt to get rid of some of that 20+%.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I've got one right now. We're paying off probably 13 different liabilities, getting rid of their 3-ish monthly or their 3-ish interest rate, they're taking a rate, actually it's at about 7.5 because it's cash out. So you take a hit, but they're freeing up thousands of dollars. And so when you have those conversations, you just have to be open-minded and be educated, because there are so many ways that we can move money and take advantage of those lower rates. But also with this case, with these clients, they're taking a higher rate and they're saving money.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, it's important.
Well, Kayla, that's a lot to digest. I think we've covered a lot of great information today. Before we go, any big Christmas holiday plans?
I haven't even thought about it, to be honest with you, Andy.
But next week,
I think we're going to go to the lake. I think we haven't been there in a month. I think we're going to take the dogs, have a quiet Christmas, just Taryn and me, and that's all I've gotten to so far. But maybe spend some time with his family, his mom and brother in the lakes area. So how about you guys?
Very nice. Yeah, we've had a number of family Christmases, kind of extended family already, and so another celebration this weekend, and then it's kind of our year Christmas Eve, Christmas Day to go see Katie's family. So we're going to be traveling a little bit, and so we'll look forward to that also.
Also, before you go, question: do you do Elf on the Shelf?
We do.
Okay. Do you do it or does Katie?
Mostly Katie does it. I fill in every once in a while. I'm, even though I haven't had to do a lot. I mean, it is a lot of fun, and there won't be that many more years that the kids will enjoy it. So I've got some comical stories about it. We'll have to, I'll share it another time.
For next time, Elf on the Shelf stories. I'm looking forward to it.
Yes. Well, Kayla, great connecting. I'm glad that you're moving in the right direction. I'm really excited for you where you're going to be in 2025 and all the clients you're going to be able to help, and to you and to everybody watching this. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Andy. We'll see you soon.
See you later.
Bye.